This is Miami All Access.
Coach, after a break, you got back into it last night against Capital, a game that you should win. You should do a lot of things well in the game, and you got all of those things from your team.
Well, I thought the first thing is that we had good energy coming out, and that's always a concern coming off of a break. And last year we came off a break and we didn't have the right kind of energy, and so that was important for us. And then, of course, are we playing unselfish? And I thought we shared the ball last night. I thought we did some things from a team perspective that really helped us. And, of course, Sully made shots. We got out in transition. We had 42 points in the paint. Interesting way we got the 42 points in that we were driving the ball and getting inside. And I think that always puts pressure on a team's defense, but it also helps your shooting percentage. And the better you typically shoot the ball from the field, the better success you usually have.
One thing that didn't happen in this game at all was the lull.
Right.
In either half, consistent play, and even when they made runs, and you give them credit for doing that, your guys had an answer. It didn't get to that 10-point run.
Well, I think we all know the lull is that's like the elephant in the room, in that if you look at our games, for whatever reason, we have gone through that. And so it was nice not to have that and to really fight through it. And I think more than anything, the easier scoring opportunities we can get, the more we can stay away from those lulls. And it has to happen. We've got to be able to put together stops defensively, consecutive stops. And I think when we get out in transition, we actually usually do a pretty decent job of getting to the rim, scoring, or getting fouled. And I think, the more easier opportunities we get, the better they are for the team. And that can be said for every team.
I talked to you before the game, and you were talking about how this is the time of the year where probably you're going to shrink the bench, but you were still able to play everybody.
Right.
Do you feel like you're getting a handle on the lineups and who's in and what they're contributing, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I do. I think a little bit, and unfortunately, the hard thing about shrinking the bench is that means that someone's minutes are going to go down. That's just the nature. That's what happens, and you. As best as you can as a coach, you try to figure it out and figure out what's best and what's going to give the team the best opportunity for success. The other side of when the bench is not shrunk, you get guys multiple minutes. You never know what could happen if injuries come in, and then you at least feel comfortable that guys have been out on the stage during the bright lights. But, for the sake of getting rotations and guys understanding when they're going to come in and play and having a feel for it, it's important. You take a look last night. Brian Odo was the first sub to come get Sully, and quite frankly, it goes to a young man in practice that does everything you ask him to do. It's funny, typically wins all of the drills when it concerns the post, no matter what. And there's something to be said for that. There is something to be said for understanding how to win, being at the right place at the right time, having the right mindset is important. And those were the things he had done, and that's what you're looking for.
This is an interesting time of the year with, again, a week break between games going into Capital. You got 6 days off before you play again on Saturday, 5 days off, 5 days you'll be practicing. But it's also the time of the year, and we talked about it in the post game last night, without classes, you actually get more time with the guys and time to actually concentrate and work on things.
Well, it's a great time for coaches. We're off today, but we'll get back after it tomorrow. And really what happens is you don't feel restricted. You're not worried about guys getting to class. You're not worried about study groups. And so you're really just able to focus on basketball, focus on getting your team better, and if they're doing what you ask them to do, you feel good. If not, they know that you have time, and we can stay here until we get it right. So that's also important. And then from the aspect of shooting the basketball, it's a great time to get extra shots up. It's a great time to get extra free throws up. Just because of that, those are things that hopefully you improve. And then, too, you're trying to work on the psyche of the team. You're talking about, hey, the second season is here. It's time, we've got to get focused. We've got to get locked in. Let's take one game at a time. How do you get on a roll? Well, you win the game that you're about to play. You take care of that business. Then you don't worry about the next one, and then we concentrate on that. And how do we go about winning that game? And so there are a lot of things going on. I've been on the other side of it, where you're 9-1, 10-0, and now you're in the break. And when you're there, you're concerned about the break as well. Heck, we just had a break. Hopefully we didn't lose our momentum, yada, yada, yada. So, us coaches are a little bit, out there, I think.
One of the guys that's coming off the bench that's seen a few more minutes in recent games is Jared Eustace. What is he bringing to the team right now?
Well, I think one of the things we all know, if Jared can get it going, if he can make shots, leading up to the Capital game, he had a couple of days in practice where he was just unbelievable shooting the ball. I mean, it was unbelievable, the shooting display he put on. He seems to be finally healthy after, the setback when he was sick and he lost a lot of weight. But, he has his energy and everything else. His parents are here. I think that helped him. They were here and all of those things. And so, but we need him to be able to step up and make shots and use his size. And, the comforting thing for me is that he's a young man that he showed that he has the potential to do that at times last year. And so I think anytime you have guys that can stretch the floor, that obviously helps you.
Kansas City coming in on Saturday, Coach, a team that you lost to out there, and remembering that game, it was not a good basketball game for your team. We talked about energy and that sort of stuff. You remember that game well. What are you looking at from the Roos on Saturday?
It's funny. You think about that game. I want to say we started that game 10-0. We were up 10-0. We had unbelievable energy to start the game, and it was like a record that had gotten scratched. It was and it just went the other way, and they got going, and we had no answer. And so it starts right there with energy. And, I mean, you're talking about a team that opens up the season with the win at Missouri. So, obviously, they're capable of getting it going, second year for their coach. And so we've got to be solid. We've got to be locked in. We've got to execute, and continue to try and create and build great habits. And, that's where we are. But understanding the importance of having those habits, I talked to the team about, if someone gave you a combination of banking, there was $50,000 in there, and you had the combination, would you take it? And they said, yes. I said, well, if you've got the combination on how to be successful, why would you not take it? And that starts with building great habits and being disciplined in what you do. It doesn't mean you're going to win every game, but when you start looking at the percentages, if you win 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, or whatever, it's a lot better than losing 3 out of 10. And so just trying to get them to buy into that.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.